in general, he has said that it is an analysis of the ideology and construction. But it is better if it changes into rather than an analysis, since this kind of analysis is not clear here. So talking about different concepts of that the research is going to analyze in the research, it's better to change into a study on see the ideology and construction are two general terms. We don't know what kind of, for example, ideological concepts or what kind of, you see, you don't have any voice? No voice? With, you see the system here, there is not any problem with the voice. There is not any problem with the voice. It is, I think, you see, it works, and I think that it is clear enough. So you have the voice, yes? No voice? You don't have my voice? Why in Google Meet if everything here is okay? So it is recorded here and then registered, and also they know that these classes have been settled down. If not okay, now I think there is no problem with it. So you can hear and we can continue here. Okay, now you can join to Google Meet as well. You see here, and John can join in Google Meet. Okay. Nobody else? Yes? All right. In WhatsApp group, I've sent you the proposal by one of your friends. I told you that, and I had to see a look at this proposal. He or she is going to talk about, Orientalism. So when you write here ideology and construction, it is not so clear. Therefore, it is better to change this title into this one that I suggest it to you. A study on Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. This is the main title. And then I use colon. Then after the colon, specify the subject. By specifying the subject, I mean the type of the study he or she is going to do his or her research, like an Orientalist reading. Okay? Like this one. So this, again, I repeat it, a study on Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, then add colon. After the colon, continue with the thing, the idea, the theory you are going to apply to the work, like an Orientalist reading. Then when you are going to explain the statement of the problem, you can focus on these two concepts that are ideology and construction. So it is much better rather than writing this kind of titles. In the introductory part, as I told you, first I again repeat that about the different parts of a proposal. So as I had a very short look through this proposal, I didn't find all those things I repeatedly mentioned in class. First, general overview. By this, we mean that writing about the work very briefly and precisely, about very briefly pointing to the method. That's it. Then with the statement of the problem, that means about to say the gap you have found within the works that you are going to work on. Then your research questions, clearly related to the statement of the problem or the problems and the method you are going to use. Then significance of the study shows your contribution to this field, that is, for example, some aspects of novel or about the ideology or about the Orientalism, the thing that you think that you can add something new to this field. Then your methodology, that is, you explain very briefly the theory you are going to apply to the work. And after that, you have to add literature review, the works that have been done by the others, analytically, not copying something from the other writers and reviewers or researchers. You have to analyze everything. You see the ideas, talking about the strong points and weak points in the work, and critically look at the works. Then what you are going to do. After that, limitations and delimitation of the study, the works that you are going to do or limit your study to, and the things that you are not going to discuss in this respect, basically referring to the problem and the method. Then you have definition of key terms. Definition of key term means that you see there are different terms. For example, this ideology, or about the other, or some other ideas. So by mentioning the source or sources, you have to clarify what you mean by these terms in your research. Maybe one term may be used in different areas, or in different books by different thinkers. For example, if you are going to use the book Orientalism by Edward Said, so the terms should show only things mentioned by this writer in Orientalism, not to say every writer. Maybe one term, according to one writer, means something, to another writer you see something else. Here, cite the work, cite the term, and mention, you see, the source clearly here. And at the end of your proposal, you can write or add the plan of the study. It means that what you are going to do in your chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these are different parts of a proposal. Therefore, this proposal that I have received does not follow things I have mentioned emphatically and repeatedly. Now let me anyhow go through this proposal to see if there is any other problem in it. In the introduction, he or she has described about the novel. It is good, but let me see whether things mentioned, you see, in this part are correct or related to the topic or not. I go through it. You can have a look at it as well. One of Coelho's bestseller novels is The Alchemist, published in 1993. The Alchemist is one of the most widely read books in the world. This novel has been a major subject for many articles, books, and studies. The Alchemist tells about a young shepherd by a boy, then by a boy called Santiago, who pursued himself to find the treasure and wanted to meet his personal legend. In that journey, Santiago encountered some various characters, such as the King of Salem, an old gypsy woman, the Englishman, the European or British travelers. The Alchemist, the mysterious character on the desert, Fatima, the local woman from Egypt, and also the other local resident. Here has mentioned, or she has mentioned, you see, the source, but it is not clear whether all parts of this paragraph are from this author, Vidias Tuti Novia Regno, or some other you see parts. So it is better to use a quotation mark to specify which part is yours and which part is that person. And based on MLS style, if it is less than 2 lines, it is better to put it in quotation. And if it is more than 3 or 4 lines, it is better to be indented as another paragraph. So pay attention and have MLA book by your side to refer to it and know how to arrange your paragraphs and how to give your citations. The second paragraph is also, you see, the same. Obviously, the characters in the novel depict some different cultural values, styles, physical appearance, languages, religion, culture, and attitudes between the Western and the Eastern. The Westerners are the Westerners and the Eastern. The Westerners are identical with their rationality, scientific, and logic. Scientific, you see what? Even try to write correct sentences. Science and logic, not scientific. Scientific is a modifier, and then you have to use something you see after it. Then very carefully write you see the sentences, try to use correct structures in your writing. Then it is contradictory with the East. The East still believes in spiritual what? So you see grammar is problem here. The spiritual, for example, you see way of living is spiritual, you see facts, spiritual what? So be careful about grammar and the structure that you use. The East still believes in spiritual thing, spiritual facts, in spirituality, like meditation, magic, and etc. is not correct, etc. Since etc. is a Latin word and it has and hidden in its meaning. Magic, comma, etc. Not magic and etc. So here, if you have used this citation, al-Jihadi, Jihad Ali, and Susan, it means that if they have written such sentence or structures and use such structures in their writing, it means that they also did the wrong thing here. And if you are going to quote it directly, you have to use see the word sic, S-I-C, in italic, shows that they wrote these sentences and they used these structures, but it is clear that it is ungrammatical. So as a researcher, you have mentioned this wrong structure or wrong, you see, vocabulary, this wrong, say, grammar. So in this case, you show that this is not your, you see, problem. So use the word what in, like you see this. I put it in WhatsApp, you see, group here. I think that I cannot, you see, share it in WhatsApp group. I will write this word that is in this, you see, form. This one, that you have to write it, you see, in italics, all in italics. That shows that this is not my problem. If the sentence is ungrammatical, it is not my fault. It is the writers or the source book that you have mentioned here. Then continue like those explanations above the characters in this novel. Such sentences are not good in a thesis like those explanations above. There is no need to write such sentences here. We can continue with the rest of the idea, but use some, you see, connectors here, like however, yet, meanwhile, although, and some others. So try to also be careful with your writing. In this novel have some different characteristics. So you can start the paragraph with this, that in addition the characters show different characteristics. The Englishman with his books represent British person who is an educated person, logic, ambitious, and realistic. An old gypsy woman with a prediction represents the local or the Orient who always believes in something beyond the reality. If the sentences are yours, okay, and if every one of these sentences are not yours, you have borrowed the idea or ideas from the others, better to mention the source. If not, you're accused of plagiarism, and it is not good for you. Santiago, with his belief to overcome the obstacles, represents a young man who wants to find the truth and to make his dreams come true, as the same as the Westerners did, not the Western. Fatima is the Middle East woman, represents her love, patience, admire, and faithfulness to Santiago. The alchemist, with his mysterious and his way to change the stone, becomes gold. But his way to change the stone becomes gold. The crystal merchant helps Santiago when he lost his money in Africa. However, the novel also shows the implied message to the readers that the West entirely underestimates the East subjects. The representation of the West and the East in the novel creates some differences. So, see here, it is better if you focus on, you see, the characters, continue with, you see, the characters, and if this is, you see, the idea that's concluded here, must be shown whether it is yours again or the sources you have referred here. Again, the explanation above, no need, as I mentioned earlier, indicate that this novel will still represent discourses of Orientalism through thought through these characters, dialogues, and settings. This novel consists of many social cultural problems, such as discourses of the stereotyping process towards the Eastern subjects, people, religion, values, and knowledge. It makes me interested, no need to write such sentences. At this stage, your interest doesn't work. Everything must be written here based on, you see, the rules. Many times I have mentioned how to show your interest here. This is because I'm interested in this area. I have decided to work on this text, for example. No need. Creating the Western superiority over this. Overall, the use of Orientalism theory by Said helps to reinforce the critical point that Paulo Coelho, as the author of The Alchemist, unconsciously represents Orientalism, and he shows the difference between the West and the East. That's true. The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, represents the interests of the West to the East. Again, see, this part is not a good one. You have to talk that I have decided to, or this research, this study has decided to apply Edward Said's Orientalism to this work and the reasons, very briefly and precisely at this stage. Orientalism, again, talking about Orientalism here is not good since you are going to devote one chapter to your methodology and the theory. So over there, you can talk about it. Here, there is no need to talk about Orientalism. And this is so brief here. The citations is not good because it is not clear which part of the paragraph, which sentence is by Edward Said and which one is yours. So it is not a good way. The methodology, in the methodology, you have to talk about the way that you are going to apply the theory to the work or the works. For example, whether it is descriptive one, it is a content analysis, or by some principles and the strategies described in the work, in the theory I mean, and the way that you are going to apply to the work means that how the researcher is going to apply this theory to the work. This is what you have to do in your methodology. This research will be a qualitative research, a qualitative research. And the documentary method will be used to collect the data. This research will be divided into two kinds of data, primary and secondary data. The primary data taken from Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. The data in this study will be selected dialogues and narrative structures. Do avoid using I or we in your research. Avoid using pronouns I and we in your research. You are allowed to use it only in your conclusion, so not at this stage. It means that the way of transferring the idea in this analysis will be shown from the specific to the general. It is somehow you see okay, since you have to mention that is a qualitative research and how you are going to apply it to you see the text, but even here give us you see more details. The references that here you have given us correct based on you see the MLA style, but in general it is not acceptable because of the things that I have mentioned commenting on this research proposal. So try to be careful on what see I have told you many times here, not to write in the way that you think or you have, I don't know, what kind of sources you have to write it and arrange you see the proposal in this way. So follow the rules and the things that I've mentioned many times about the different parts of writing a proposal. So for you who have attended this class, and I went through this proposal, this session, try to send me. I will try to evaluate your proposals in the class as well to make you able to write a good one. So in this case, it is not actually right. Okay, if there is any question,
excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
Are you going to mark us about these proposals, or you are going just checking them?
In class or in exam?
No, I mean in a class, in exam. Should we write them in the exam? We don't have an idea about our exam in the research paper.
Yes, in your exam, you are asking some questions about how to write, for example, a proposal, and part of it is your practical work. That means sending me your suggested proposals, and then I will create it according to the rules mentioned in class, and in this case, they are evaluated and scored. Perfect. Any other question or questions?
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Welcome.
May I send my proposal now for the next session?
Yes, we can send it, and then we'll discuss it in our next session. But in general, I can have a look at it at this time, you see, as well.
Okay, I'll send it now.
Okay, send it. Yes, why not? We can send it to تحقيقات class group. Okay, now with the Boris proposal, let me go through it. Or this, you see part of it, and then the title is okay, Barik, but for the format of the cover page, you have to follow the university UC format. The title, Guilt and Struggles in Usher's 13 Reasons Why, colon, a psychoanalysis reading is okay. But with the cover page title, there is no need to put a semicolon, you see, after it. All right. With the title, after submitted to, after by, there is no need to use colon. This colon is going to explain about the previous idea. Here, are you going to explain something? No. Submitted to is not correct here. You have to use this supervisor, and then by. With the format also, this thesis has been written for the requirement of the fulfillment of MA studies in the name of the university and then the department. So try to correct it as well. With the table of the contents, yes, the parts are okay, so the problem, 1, 1, 1, 2, can you use the 1, 3, or 1 to 1 as your research question? Significance of the study, methodology, review of related, limitations, aim of the definition is okay. This part is, you see, okay. Now, certain reason why, use title of the books in italic. I told you that you have to refer to yes, sending me, you see, the proposal letter I will give you, you see my email, you can send it to my email, Masti. Then I will go through it as part of your classes activities, and the rest goes to your final exam. In italics, so that's why I told you that you have to keep MLA book by your side to refer to it, how to write title of the books, articles, this, you see, and that. Yes. By J. Usher is a young adult novel published by the author. High school experience contributed to the idea for the narrative primary character of Clay James. As a youth, he witnessed a tragedy similar to Jensen's when a close relative of Usher tried to commit suicide. When the idea for the novel occurred, Usher turned to his female friends and began investigating how they, as young women, experienced high school with the particular emphasis on the emotion they felt at the time. Again, I remind you, if the sentences are yours, give us to see the citations. If they are not yours, see or refer the readers to the source. As far as I'm looking at your proposal, I cannot find any citation you see anywhere. So what kind of a proposal you see it is? Without any reference even to one source. How is it possible? So be careful about mentioning the sentences and the parts that are not yours. Since if you have borrowed the ideas, you have to mention, and if you do not borrow, they are yours. All the ideas are yours. It is not usually possible. Anna Baker, who is a high school girl, is one of the main protagonists in this novel. She's lovely, nice, pleasant, intelligent. She enjoys candies, hot chocolates, blue nail polish, serving, reading a book, and writing poems. She wants to find her true love and is explore relationships naturally at her own pace. She used to be happy and fine, but her life began to spiral downward when she began getting bullied by the boys at school, and after underwear pictures spread out because of a friend, this and that. So you see that this part, to the end of this paragraph, you're talking about, for example, such things without any one reference. So be sure that in this respect, you're, again, you see, accused of plagiarism, since without any citation and sources. And this is very important. If a work is without citations, without referring to some sources, it means that your work is too weak. So giving citations, giving ideas by the others will strengthen your work. The novel was chosen for this study because it's quite distinct from other novels. If the majority of novels expressly point to particular genres such as romance, action, comedy, then this is very different. What distinguishes this work is not only its plot, it can provide readers with enjoyment. Who has said these sentences? Again, are they yours? Actually, no. Have you told that this novel is different in these features? No. It's just said by the others. Why haven't you mentioned the works or the work? So 13 reasons why creates a different master compared to the other book despite the seeming simplicity. There are several more idols will be derived from this tale. Who has said this sentence? If there are several moral idols, have you found these moral idols in the work, or have they been found by the others? So mention who has said this sentence, and then you can have your own view on this idea. You can, for example, bring some details and add something to the idea. It is right, but not to state general ideas said by the others without mentioning their names. So again, not good. The presence of tension in a novel might entice readers to read the entire page because disagreements might affect the reader's interest. As a result, many readers are interested in reading the novel to find out how the story ends and how the conflict is resolved. To link it with the drama series, the researcher creates a theory connected to it after considering the goal of the research, focusing on the main theory of Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis of personality, psychoanalytical perspective of personality. Correct to see this part. According to this theory, humans have humans have what? There are three aspects is not correct. Humans have, there are three aspects. Humans have three aspects of, let's say, psyche, then ego and superego. Again, supervising into perfect fulfillment of the desires is that are contrary to environment. To narrow the focus on psychology of literature analysis, the researcher examined literature works with Sigmund Freud, which is researching and analyzing the characters in literature works with a psychological approach, or focus on the literature and the object itself. Okay, the sentence is not complete and correct. You see here, try to avoid some ungrammatical structures in your research. Still the problem. This is significant because it showed the concept of guilt and struggle that might affect people since the other study investigated structure analysis and descriptive approach for this novel. This is, you say, claiming a research and a study is not the place of claiming something. Therefore, it is not good, which is the gaps in how we can understand, avoid I and we, and investigate the psychological analysis of the characters and the work. Furthermore, discover how to analytically works using a psychological method. The study is expected to come to studies not good. It's not a problem. I have sent you, you see one or two of the problems as the samples. So the problem means, you see, the gap exists within the works. It means that, for example, from what point have you found these psychological problems among the characters? And why have you decided to apply Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic or psychological concepts on this work? So if there is not a problem and you do not explain the problem or the gap exists among the characters, among the situations, the events, and the theory, then it is not a problem at all. So as the state of the problem and the features of the state of the problem is not a good one. The research questions: how are the guilt, the end, and the guilt, the and conflicts portrayed in the novel? How are guilt and the conflict reflect in ego and superego? Not good, because everything must. So we don't know what the problem here is. If we don't know what the problem is, therefore we cannot justify the research questions. As I told you, all the research questions might be related both to the works and the theory. Here, in general, we have written something, but we don't know what exactly the problem is. Research significance or the significance of the study. This is tended to contribute to the discipline of literature analysis. Okay, how? It is not clear. By the significance of the study, again, I repeat it for the 100th time, that it means that how your work is going to contribute to this field. Explain the how that your work adds something to the theory or this area. So finding of this study will hopefully help future in determining how to analytically works. It is not good. Unfamiliar to non-psychological students is not good. There's not a small clearing, but there's no explanation of how appeared is not good. And the rest you see as well. The methodology. Okay, in your methodology, I've focused only on these three things: id, ego, and superego. For an MA study, it is not enough. If you use Freud's psychoanalytic approach here, you have to first better to I think you should avoid it because in method Sigmund Freud have been done a lot and applied a lot in different fields, but as for a sample proposal for this class, it is okay, but not for your thesis. Better to move to some psychoanalytical, critical criticism and recent works. Id, ego, and superego, have been worked a lot here and there. Therefore, nothing has been remained for you to discuss. Your literature review also is not good because there's not any source here. Sources must be related to the works and something about this theory or some other theories apply to this work. And now you are going to discuss about the problems exist in such works, about the weaknesses of those works. And then here you are going to find a space for you to work on. Here, without any reference, it is not acceptable. Limitation. Here you have, yes, this won't tell us. It is good. Aim of the study is good. Key terms, good, but without any source here. Then it is without any source, it means that it is not good. Okay? So discuss also this proposal, this session with the problems exist. Try to be careful with everything said in this class. So try to work carefully, my dear friends. If not, you see that nothing will be gained at the end of this class.
May I say something, sir?
Yes.
For the sources, sir, most of the work, especially about the novel, I have read the novel and I know the details, the small detail about it, because it's already a TV show and a series, and I'm interested in this matter. So everything that I write by my own words. Some of the paragraphs suggested about the psychological analysis about the Freudian and something like that. Most of the sources I put it at the end of my proposal. I know there are the sources, they are already there, but I haven't put it at the end of paragraph because I felt that I'm gonna put it at the end of my proposal. So what's the point of putting it at the end of the paragraph? And for the Freudian, because for example, Lacan is another one, the psychologist. I don't like it. Let's talk about my opinion, my point of view. If I use Lacan for this novel, it's not going to have a great result. Since Freudian is something great and especially deal with the, let's say, the personality, and this is going to be fit exactly to the novel because the main character, and he has done a lot of bad things, and he has kind of conflict inside him, and the psychologist who really deals with these things, especially the inner side of the human being, is Freud, not Lacan, not Perciva, or something like that. So I just find Freud. I have read a lot about, like, for example, Lacan is another great one. But the work and the philosophy of Lacan is not going to fit with the title or what I want to talk about. And for this significance, you haven't completed the whole paragraph. Maybe the first paragraph, first 5-6 lines not that good, but the significance for that I want to show that we can read novels not only by the structural and method and motif and image or all these structures. No, we can read novels by using the psychoanalysis. And I have read it in the last lines of the paragraph. Maybe I should put in them at the beginning, but this is the significant. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I believe that if we can read novels, so this really works, and think about the psychoanalysis of this board, characters, and the author itself, it's going to be, more fun than the reading novels and looking for the image and how to use this, blah, 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 and etc. This is the significant of the study. But the statement of the problem, the other researchers, they focus on the novel, looking for using the structures and descriptive approach. Again, it's about the structure. They didn't focus on the psychoanalysis side of this novel. So this is leaving a gap. So when I read a novel, when I try to understand it, I go to critics, analyze it, and read everything about the novel. But how can I understand it? How can I link it to another side of the reader? No one has ever worked on it. So this is the problem of it. So I believe that working on the conflict, the psychoanalysis of the novel haven't done yet. So this is a problem, and I want to work it. So if there's another explanation for the statement of a problem, this is my perspective, and this is what I believe. So I have written them in my proposal. Thank you for this.
Yes. You see, my dear, and also see to the other students, doing a research or writing a research proposal or writing a thesis follows its own, you see, rules. I cannot say that, for example, since I like this work, I have intended to work on this field. Or because I know that Freud has said something more importantly than, you see, the others, I like to work, or I've decided to apply Freud's idea in my work. No. Or you said that I have watched, you see, the movie, I have read the whole novel. Okay, it is good for your own, not for a research thesis or for writing a research, you see, proposal. Everything in a research proposal must be documented. Even you claimed that nobody has worked on Freudian approach on this work. You have to avoid claiming in your work, because if you find, you see, or you go through some websites, you can find many examples of working on this movie, on this film, on this, you see, novel, on this story, lots of things about, you see, a work. Avoid claiming. So claiming as a rule does not have any place in a research field, in a research proposal, or in a thesis. Okay? With the statement of the problem, if you find you have to read a lot, you have to refer the readers to the others, you see, works by the others that they have done this. But I have found that here there is a gap. Here there is, you see, a problem. When we read the problem, we have to know about what the problem is. We are going to discuss about, for example, the characters or the characters' conflict in this novel. This is too general. It has to be justified here and clarify every aspect of the work that you are going to work. All right? With Freud, if you say that, all right, maybe to one work, one theory is more applicable than the others. It is okay. But you have to justify why have you decided to choose Freud, okay, with these reasons. You have to discuss that, for example, there are different theories or approaches on psychoanalytical concepts, but for this work you have to decide to apply Freud with these reasons, and all the reasons must be documented. All reasons must be justified well. This is a research work, not to write something for example, a newspaper. Maybe what you have explained here is good for a newspaper, generally it's a newspaper, not for a journal. If you send this, a brief summary of this to a journal, be sure that it is rejected for, you see, these reasons. So this is, you see, your idea, but your idea is good for example, maybe a normal presentation in a class. It is good. For writing something for your class is good, but not good for research proposal or your thesis. Everything, or intake citation. I don't know that at the end of it you have given maybe, you see, 30 references, 100 references. Okay, but what is the use of it? Intake citation is a necessity, see here. Okay? Intake citation. You have to know You have to know everything about everything. Is it clear, dear?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you very much. Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much. I will